Hey, go New York, go New York, go. How about that for the New York Knicks, right? Shout out. We got a Sauce Gardner jersey on, representing the Knicks, right? We try to represent. What an absolute masterclass of a game that they just put on, right? In this game one, right? To steal home court advantage, to come up, if they win, 1-0 in the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. You have the chance for greatness, for the start of glory, and the ability to build momentum. And they did just that, coming away with the win 105-95 against the San Antonio Spurs in San Antonio. And when looking at how the course of this game went, it was not a great Jalen Brunson game for 3 quarters. It was not a great Victor Wembanyama game for 4 quarters. In this game, the two superstars did not step up for 7 out of the 8 quarters of this game, if you include for both of them playing their respective games. And the player of the game, in my opinion, was Karl Anthony Towns. He was so unbelievably good. Him and Josh Hart were maybe the two best players out there that I noticed, at least. Because in this, Karl Anthony Towns, while offensively, sure, you say 18 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, who cares? His defense may have been the best I have ever seen it be. Going into this game, I posted a video where I had said that I think that the best matchup for Victor Wembanyama is OG Anunoby. And I guess Karl Anthony Towns took that to heart because he was absolutely spectacular guarding Wembanyama. Where in the course of this game, up until I believe about 3 minutes into left in the fourth quarter, during I believe the entirety of the fourth quarter, he was 1 for 8 on shots that Victor Wembanyama took while being guarded by Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns had Victor Wembanyama playing terribly, objectively terribly, where he ended the night shooting 6 for 21, right? Which is bad, but doesn't seem too terrible. Until you realize that I'd say about at the very least 2 to 3 of his makes were against Mitchell Robinson. Where he had one of them where it was just quick down the lane, Robinson couldn't keep up, and easy 2 for Wemby. Another was an offensive rebound, put back for 2, right? Karl Anthony Towns neutralized Victor Wembanyama in this game. He played maybe the best game I've ever seen him play. And I'm not trying to be like the greatest ever, just headline seeking, but that's genuinely how I feel. I feel as though Karl Anthony Towns has played the most well-rounded game where he was the best defensive player out there. And offensively, he was the main focal point of this team. Where it's I know Jalen Brunson, but when you look based on shot for shot, Karl Anthony Towns is better. He's more efficient with his shots. Took half as many shots as Jalen Brunson did, and had 12 less points on 16 less shots. I mean, objectively, he was more efficient. He was a much better defender. He was probably the second best defender out there behind Victor Wembanyama. And offensively, he was no slouch either, as a couple of times when he was at the top of the key, he was a phenomenal passer. A couple times where he got going down the lane, kick out, easy J for people. He was phenomenal in this game. And when you talk about this New York Knicks team, there's one key cog that runs it all, and that is Jalen Brunson. For 3 quarters, he was not great. He was slow with the ball. He wasn't playing fantastic. And I do think some of that stems from the fact that he had 2 different injuries in this game. One of which was where on a box out, Harrison Barnes was behind Landry Shamet. Shamet goes for a little bit of an aggressive box out where just kind of sudden jolting back. That leads to Harrison Barnes falling, and it just so happens that it was on the knee of Jalen Brunson. Brunson goes into the locker room, comes back out with the brace on, everything like that. And then about 3 to 4 minutes later, he goes up for a shot, misses, lands awkwardly on his ankle, and then as Luke Cornett comes down from the contest, he also lands on that same ankle. So Jalen Brunson was dealing with a tremendous amount of pain. And when it mattered most, when it was time for him to step up, elevate, and be the leader of this team and show why he was, I believe, the clutch player of the year, he came alive down the stretch. He had the crucial three-pointer to win it. It felt as though any shot he took was going in. And I know statistically, oh, well, he shot 12 for 31. You know what? I don't care. This is some very 2010s style of, or at least early 2010s, late 2000s style of ball where it's like, go get a bucket. I don't care how many shots you take, go get a bucket. And that's exactly what this game felt like, where he had over a third of the team's points, or close to a third of the team's points, where, I mean, he was just fantastic. And I do think that he was the reason down the stretch that they won this game, where the Spurs tied it up late. And Jalen Brunson came alive to win it. And it's tough for San Antonio, right? I mean, this is, in all fairness, this was a disaster class game for the San Antonio Spurs. This team played like booty cheeks, and they deserved to lose, and they did. But I think more so the fact that you're able to keep it this close when you played so unbelievably poorly isn't terrible. Because when you think about it, when I mention OG Anunoby shot 50% from three, Josh Hart, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, plus 22. Mikal Bridges, right? 9 points, 3, and 2 steals. If I say Jalen Brunson had 30, Landry Shamet had 13 and shot 50% from 3. Jose Alvarado, he played well at a plus 4. Deuce McBride, plus 11 and 19 minutes. If I read all of that up, you think, oh, they lost by 20, bare minimum. And they lost by 10, and really it was towards the end of the game when they lost this, where with about, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it was a tied game. And I think that is more so a testament to, number one, Dylan Harper. He played phenomenal. He was fantastic in this game, right? He, Julian Champagnie, and Stephon Castle were the 3 Spurs players where I'm like, they really played good enough to win. They played so unbelievably well. They were poised. They were attacking. They were quick. And I think it was really glad, at least I was really glad that Dylan Harper put the world on display and put his skill set on display for the world to see, that he has one of the deepest layup packages that I've seen a player have, where he is so unbelievably fantastic when attacking the cup. Same thing with Stephon Castle. His three-point shot wasn't falling, but he was slashing, he was attacking, his mid-range shot was falling. He was fantastic. Also had 8 rebounds, so shout out, 3 of them offensive rebounds. He was fantastic. And then Julian Champagnie, right? 5 for 10 from 3, 10 rebounds. 3 offensive rebounds. Like, he played well. And the players that I haven't mentioned yet are maybe the most important. Victor. Following that game 7, I thought, you know what, maybe some momentum carries over. I still do think that Victor Wembanyama is still a tremendous player. I don't want to make it seem like he had one bad game, exile him. Like, no. But I also think this was not a great sight to see. When close to half of your points come from the free throw line, that's some free throw merchant stuff. Like, that is what Twitter thinks SGA is. Like, that is not good. That is just unquestionably booty cheeks. In this, a couple times, 9 3-pointers. No. No. I understand where it's like, okay, you got to give him the ball somehow. And it's not good. That would be the most that he has taken outside of Game 6 last series, where he made 4 of them. That would be the most that he's taken this entire playoffs. No. Absolutely not. That is booty cheeks. Like, that is garbanzo beans. Like, that is just not good one bit. I do not want you taking 9 3-pointers. A couple of the shots that you were taking, I'm like, what? Like, for example, the one that he took where it was early shot clock, just goes in transition and just bricks it. There's another instance where he's going for a fadeaway when Karl-Anthony Towns has been playing great defense on him. Didn't work. A couple times where he was under the basket and just attempted some, and just threw some stuff up. Where it's just like, I guess, bro. But I think more looking at the way that he played, it was more so a matter of Karl-Anthony Towns' defense was that dang good. Like, he was a great defender. Legitimately, he was altering the game defensively. I thought that going into this, right, maybe this is whenever we see him come back down to earth. Absolutely not. And he was so unbelievably good when talking about Karl-Anthony Towns. He was phenomenal on Wembanyama, where Wembanyama, up until the end of the game, that's when he started to really come alive, and he got it back within the tie game. But just not a good showing. This is very reminiscent to the game one that he had in the Timberwolves series, where it's a super duper close game down the stretch, shoots terribly, and defensively his impact is there, just doesn't result in a win. He doesn't shoot well, and I think that's very similar to this game, where defensively Victor Wembanyama was such a deterrent, such a pest, and he was great. But also, he didn't shoot that well, turned the ball over 6 times, and was a negative. He was a net negative when he was out there. He did not play well, right? If going forward, that is how you play, they are going to lose in 4 games. But I do think that if there is anyone that I have faith in to take anything personally and absolutely strive to bounce back and respond, it is Victor Wembanyama. I do think that in this game, this was a little bit of the nerves that you see with younger teams, where a couple of shots were just so ridiculous. Like there was one where Champagnie in a transition just takes such a bad shot. And I know it was a heat check, and he was like, he was feeling himself. He was pretty excited about how he was doing. But that you can't shoot. You can't shoot that shot in this moment. A couple times, De'Aaron Fox, he shot poorly. Devin Vassell, he didn't shoot great either. And if you told me going into this game, right, that Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, and Devin Vassell would have 13 made shots, I would say they lost by 20. So if you want to take a moral victory out of this, all of the signs, if I read to you what happened in this game, you would say they got gobsmacked. And this was a tied game late in the fourth quarter. And I think that this game is not a death note. Not a, okay, yeah, it's over, wrap it up. New York, you're champion. Like, I don't think that's the case. But I do think that when you have an opportunity for games, you got to capitalize on them. When you have an opportunity in the NBA Finals, right, at home, you have the fans behind you. You have everything going in your favor. And you don't execute down the stretch. You don't play good enough defense. You don't play good enough to win. You don't win. You won't win. And you kind of waste a good opportunity here to get an advantage on a New York team that shot 31% from 3. You won the free throw advantage, right? This New York team definitely looked beatable. And I know, yeah, they're on the greatest tear that I've seen a team have in my lifetime. But they look, okay, I lied. That KD are Warriors, and they are better. But the greatest tear that I've seen since I was in elementary school, a team have. Like, legitimately, the Knicks are that good. And I do think that part of this was poor coaching, poor preparation, and all that. Because I think that the way that Victor Wembanyama was deployed, where you don't see him, like, you're not having him attack harder on the pick and roll. You're not utilizing that more. You're not adjusting the way that I would have liked. You're not using him the way that I would have liked. And you're making him settle for 3-point jump shots. And I do think that's how it was. He was settling because he could not get inside. And again, a part of that is a testament to Karl-Anthony Towns. He played phenomenal defense. He has the physical archetype to match up with Victor Wembanyama very well. But Wembanyama just needs to be more aggressive. In the games, whenever Victor Wembanyama is aggressive, they win. Every single time, pretty much. Whereas if you look at the Oklahoma City series, literally, when he shoots more than 15 shots, they lost 1 game. When he shoots over 15 shots, they lost a singular game. And when he doesn't shoot that well, you lose. This is a team predicated on Victor Wembanyama. If he doesn't perform, they don't perform well. He did not play well. 6 turnovers, right? An abomination. That's 2 less than the entire Knicks team. There was a sequence where Victor Wembanyama dribbled it off of his own foot. Like, this is the level of not great we're talking about. For someone who I deem to be the best player in the world, that was not a best player in the world performance. You're not going to win if he plays like that. And I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of aggressiveness in a game like this. And I know 21 shots But when I mean aggressiveness, I mean actively hunting for good looks instead of just taking what's there. And there is something to be said about taking what the defense gives you. If the defense gives you booty cheeks, do not settle for booty cheeks. Play better. And I know that's a very um, poor way of looking at it, but that's how I feel. Where if Victor Wembanyama plays better, they win this game, no doubt. Literally, if he shoots 50% from the field in this game and he makes, just saying that's the case, he would make 2 more 3-pointers and that would take you up to 8, 2 more. Right? That right there is 10 points. You win you at least tie the game. He needs to play better. Off the bench, right? Harrison Barnes, not great. Keldon Johnson, that performance wasn't fantastic. He missed a couple of easy looks. And speaking of missing easy looks, De'Aaron Fox, 3 for 13 and 0 for 4 from 3. Not a great performance. I think it's time to where you put Dylan Harper in the starting lineup. And I know De'Aaron Fox is injured, and I know he's been here before, and I know he's more of a veteran. But quite frankly, in the last 5 games that he has played, he's only shot above 30% once. Like, objectively, he's not played well. He has not executed well, and you cannot afford to minimize the opportunities that you have. Where I know in this game you went on a 20-3 run, right? What happened? Who was massively responsible for you getting out to that run? Dylan Harper. You take him off the court, you bring back in De'Aaron Fox. What happens? Slowly starts dissipating, right? And I know in this game, speaking of going on that early run, I know that you had a big run. You seem to have a lead for most of the game, but there's something to be said about a New York Knicks team where they are all about momentum. They are so unbelievably good, and they are such a good team at getting runs started out of thin air and just going down the stretch. And the moment they can get a lead back, they win it. The Spurs team didn't execute, and it never felt like they were really in control, even though they had the lead for a vast majority of this game. Where, when looking at the game flow, right, New York, their first lead was when they went up 14-7 in the 7th minute, or in the 7 minutes left in the first quarter. And then they are behind all the way up until 2 minutes left in the second quarter. And then all the way until the fourth quarter. And that wasn't a great performance by New York. Where it's like win probability. Up until the fourth quarter, the Knicks were not winning that at all. Now, they came away in the clutch, but I mean, I know that's how this team is built, and I know it's built for Jalen Brunson to ball out. But if Brunson is hampered because of that of his injuries, yikes, yikes! I don't know what you do if he's not there. But he was there, so you got the result you wanted. But I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be someone who's like, you gotta win, ew. Like, no. I mean, I think that you got the result that you deserved, first and foremost. You didn't play fantastic to get that result. You didn't play phenomenal ball. And I feel like this opportunity here for the Knicks to keep up their momentum and take a 2-0 series lead is monumental. It's absolutely crucial that they do this. They need to execute next game. If they win next game, I think this series is over. And if there's one team who I do not think is going to take any level of smoke, or is not going to take any level of flack, and they're going to respond to the smoke, they're going to fight fire with fire. That is the San Antonio Spurs, where I know for a fact that Victor Wembanyama is livid with himself. I know he is absolutely fuming. He is a very unhappy camper with how he played this game, and I'm sure that he will do everything in his power to overcorrect this and to correct this. Now, if that's overcorrecting, that is a possibility. I do think that he could, next game, just start shooting some more shots just for the sake of it. but I think that next game is going to be crucial. And if I were to predict next game, I think the Spurs win by like 15 because I think they're going to take this one on the chin and they're going to come out swinging next game. And if that is the case, New York wins this first little battle, right? You steal home court. You then go to New York. You handle business there. And, you don't let the Spurs get one back. You up 3-1 in the finals. Only ever happened one time that a team's come back from that. I think that New York has all the momentum going forward. It's just about whether or not the Spurs answer the call. And more specifically, Victor Wembanyama answers the call. And if Karl-Anthony Towns plays as well as he did tonight, this is going to be a shorter series than I expected. Or at least, if Victor Wembanyama lets Karl-Anthony Towns affect him as much as he did tonight, it'll be a much, much shorter series than I expected. Once again, the New York Knicks came away 105-95 against the San Antonio Spurs in San Antonio. Absolutely fantastic game. This has been a really great playoffs, I think. Ton of just awesome upsets, nail biters, great moments. It's been phenomenal. And this stretch, we've had a ton of success for the channel, which, side note, go ahead and like, subscribe, as it's absolutely crucial to the channel, right? We're on the hunt for 50 subscribers. That'd be pretty cash money of you to go ahead and subscribe. As, I like to think that I run a pretty decent operation over here at the Scoop with Coop. And since this is the Scoop with Coop, until next time. So long, everybody.